Hello, good evening, everyone. This is an informational meeting of the Augusta City Council. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2026. We'll begin our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, a couple of announcements. Our city manager is not here, but he'll join us partway through the meeting. He was up in Nokomis for a softball game, his daughter's final season, so hopefully he'll have good news about the score when he gets back. Second of all, Councilor Gary Allen's not here tonight. She's celebrating her son's graduation tonight, and so won't be here tonight. With that, let me go through and preview tonight's informational meeting agenda. Part A of our agenda, as always, is persons wishing to address the City Council have submitted a formal request to do so. We have none of those tonight. Part B is the open comment period for any persons wishing to address the City Council. And finally, item C are items listed for discussion submitted by the council and/or the manager. And we have 4 of those topics tonight. C1 is a progress report on Three-Quartered Pond Watershed Management Plan development. C2 is Emergency Overnight Warming Center request. C3 is a rezoning recommendation from our planning board. And C4, and finally, a discussion of a memorandum of understanding with the Augusta Downtown Alliance. So with that, as there are no persons who have submitted a formal request to speak, I'm going to move directly to Part B. Persons wishing to address the City Council. And if there are any, please use the podium, speak directly into the microphone, let us know who you are and where you're from. And just a reminder, the public comment period at informational meetings are 5 minutes.
My name is Mary Saunders. I live on Wildwood Road. And I want to say thank you to Public Works, and in particular to a gentleman named Justin. I called a couple of days ago about some undergrowth at the intersection of Wildwood and Old Winthrop Road that was blocking vision to the right where cars come across the overpass. And it's all been cut away beautifully. And I'd just like to say thank you for the prompt attention to my request.
Thank you, and I'm sure it appreciates the public acknowledgement. Thank you, Mary. Yes.
Hi, everyone. Lisa Gagne. I live in Belgrade, but I grew up here in Augusta. I was involved in a community-wide cleanup a couple weeks ago on May 30th. And I think moving forward, the community needs to know proper management and safe disposal of needles. I was told that we could bring the needles to the Access Center on Water Street in Augusta, and that's exactly what I did. And I was met with a trespassing order for bringing the needles, which, give me a second. I brought more, and it's not able to bring it to the Access Center anymore, so trespassed. The Augusta PD said that we could bring them down there, and then when we brought them down there, they refused to take them. So I'd like to know what we can do moving forward to dispose of these without getting trespassed. So.
You'll have your turn.
So I'm going to leave these here. It's unfortunate that I dedicated an entire day to clean up, and I was met with a trespassing order to bring these back to the access center that gives them out for free. So it's a slap in the face. No one's going to want to come out and help and clean up if this is what we're going to be met with. It's unfortunate. Thanks.
Thank you. Chief? Would you do us the favor of taking control of those? Anyone else would like to take advantage of the opportunity to address the city council?
I'm not going to play a crazy song. Don't worry. This is what has been going on. Oh, but Nicholas Blanchard, Augusta, Ward 4. I'm going to show you what we've been dealing with here. Right on downtown Augusta. This was today. That's a sword in his hand. A sword. He just said he got ripped off. That's our park. Where we hold all our events. Like, for real, what are we doing?
So it's a little hard to see from up here. You want
get that.
to describe what it is?
Well, the first video is literally footage from my job of somebody facing the road, not caring, wrapping up his arm and shooting up. Not caring. Because you know why? He's homeless. He's not going to go to jail. I would, right? If I got pulled over, I had crack cocaine on me, I'd go to jail. What's the difference? What is the difference? What are we doing? The other morning, I literally went down to Mill Park. There's bags from the Access Center, a wide open pill bottle filled with pills in Mill Park. Mill Park. I'm sorry for the frustration, but I've been coming to this city council and telling this for the last, 6 months? Now I got a PFH on me that they can't seem to rule. It's been almost a month now? Anyone else heard of a PFH taking a month to rule? They decided to drop the charge of violating it that I was told any other time they would take the person to jail. So that night, they could have took me to jail and then just dropped the charge. I was sitting in my apartment eating dinner. Now I'm at work, and I'm getting harassed about my dog. There's more focus on my dog not being registered than our parks, our city being unsafe. How about you take he's a uniformed cop, right? Sworn officer, probably getting paid.
Mr. Blanchard,
How about you use his resources, and instead of harassing people about unregistered dogs that many of the homeless have? Many of them have. I'm sorry, I'm yelling. I'm pissed. You guys don't have APD knocking at your door or coming to your job every day now. I have the right to be pissed off right now. Mayor, you could easily be a hero right now. Don't let your you know, you being mayor end like this. You have the power to change this. There's plenty of people on this board doing good things. And it's being overshadowed by the nonsense coming from the Access Center. If it's working, take it out of downtown. Move it somewhere where it's not, where everyone can damn see it. Where all the kids can see it. Where our parks ain't safe. They want to use drugs, move them to a part of the town where no one can see it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the city council using Part B of this agenda? Going once, twice? All right. So let's move to Part C, items for discussion submitted by the council of the manager. First is a progress report on Three Cornered Pond Watershed Management Plan Development, which is attributed to the city manager, but he's not here to introduce it, so I'd like to turn directly to the presenters, please.
Well, just to introduce ourselves.
Please, yes.
Hi, everybody. We're going to change subjects rather dramatically and talk about water quality. I'm Mary Schwanke. I am a member of the Weber Pond Association Water Quality Committee, and I also serve on the Vassalboro Conservation Commission. For the past 3 years, I've been involved with our watershed, which we're going to, for the city of Augusta, will focus on the headwater of the watershed, which is Three Cornered Pond. Weber Pond is at the end. So basically, we have 3 ponds in our watershed. Three Cornered Pond is the source, which drains into Three Mile Pond, which drains into Weber Pond. We have 2 of those 3 ponds that are in a bad way, that are impaired, defined as impaired, based on water clarity and chlorophyll level, the level of algae growing. Three Cornered Pond is in a state that is classified as threatened. So it's luckily not impaired yet, which is why we want to focus some attention on keeping it that way. So I'm going to start out with just an overview of what we've been doing watershed-wide, and then kind of zoom into Three Cornered Pond, and then my colleagues will take over for the other 2 sections. So I'll try to be kind of brief about what we've been doing. We applied for and received 3 DEP grants over the past 2 years, about $150,000 worth of work, and a ton of volunteer time. 2 of the grants require a equal match, and most of that has been done with in-kind volunteer work, with some support from Vassalboro and from Windsor and from our other collaborator is the Kennebec County Soil and Water Conservation District. Then we have, each pond has a pond association. We had volunteers from those 3. And then we hired a consultant, Ecological Instincts, who's doing the bulk of the work at this stage of our project. Our overall goal is to develop a new 10-year plan before a lake or a watershed or a series of lakes can start working on restoration. We have to have a 10-year plan in place that's been approved by DEP and EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. So for the Weber Pond watershed, which includes those 3 ponds, the last 10-year plan was expired in 2015. I got into the area about 5 years ago, and the water quality has really worsened in the past few years. And so a group of us got involved in trying to move forward with getting a new 10-year plan written so we can start to do some restoration. So a watershed survey is the first step of two big aspects of what we did. The survey is a way of literally walking around the properties around a shoreline of a lake or pond and looking for areas of active erosion or runoff. So we're looking for movement of surface soil into the pond or lake. The idea is the shoreline and then the greater watershed area, we want to know what are the sources of what we call non-point source pollution. So again, this is basically erosion and runoff. Other sources of this can be fertilizer, agricultural waste, septic system overflow, those kinds of things. This map shows you the direct watershed of Three-Cornered Pond, and you can see the pond itself in the lower part of the map is quite small, and Three-Cornered Pond is the smallest of the three ponds. It drains into 3 Mile Pond, which is over on the right, so you can see how much larger that is. And then Weber is about the same size as 3 Mile, just a little bit bigger. And 3 Mile Pond then drains north into Weber Pond. But you can see the watershed itself is quite a bit larger than just the immediate shoreline. So we had people surveying. We had teams from DEP, Ecological Instincts, and then our volunteers literally walking the land and trying to identify these sites of runoff. There are little red dots that you may or may not be able to see from where you're seated that identify these non-point source pollution sites, or NPS sites. And you can see there are some scattered around in the greater land area, and those are mainly road sites where there's a culvert going over a stream, and there's runoff from the shoulder of the road or the culvert that's not quite big enough to handle the flow. And then if you focus around the pond itself, you'll see the immediate shoreline sites, those are mainly road sites, but also property sites. So of the 200 plus properties that were examined, 54 were found to have what we call an NPS site. The culprit here, when we talk about non-point source pollution, is phosphorus. And phosphorus is everywhere. It's a naturally occurring element. It's part of all living organisms. But it is a fuel for plants, for algae, for cyanobacteria. And the problem is when we have too much phosphorus in a pond, in a lake, we get blooms, we get algae blooms, we get cyanobacterial blooms. What we're finding in the 2 ponds that are impaired are frequent blooms in the summertime and into the early fall. And in the last few years, we're finding cyanobacteria blooms that are producing toxins. So we do some toxin testing as well. So when those start to produce toxins, we have to let our members know, don't let your dogs in the water, don't let your kids in the water. It becomes a public health issue. Again, Three-Cornered Pond is not in that state at this point, so that's a good thing. In the Three-Cornered Pond survey, the greatest number of NPS sites were residential. That's the gray bar that's in the center. But there were also state roads, town roads, private roads, driveways, trails, boat access areas. So those are all areas where there's some kind of erosion or runoff. We rank those sites as having a high impact, a medium impact, or a low impact. And what's a good thing for Three-Cornered Pond is that the vast majority of the NPS sites are low to medium impact, and only a small percentage are high impact. The other main thing we've done over the past 2 years, in addition to the watershed survey, which was done last May, for 2 summer seasons, a group of volunteers who have been trained by DEP have been doing sampling and monitoring of water conditions in all 3 ponds. That's been a pretty intensive process. We've gathered a lot of data that are being used by our consultants to now do some modeling of what's happening in the pond in terms of chemistry. This slide, which is a detailed but don't worry about any of the details, just pay attention to the basic shape. Across the bottom, the x-axis is over the course of the summer. And then going up, we're measuring levels of total phosphorus. And phosphorus, again, is the problem chemical, the problem element that can trigger these algae blooms. And we're looking at phosphorus.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but let's get started again. A 4-1 PFA. PFA, are you freaking kidding me? You knew this was gonna happen. I'm away out the damn door. In your copy.
Mr. Blanchard, Mr. Blanchard,
Do something about that
Mr. Blanchard.
joke.
Sorry for that.
Okay, back to phosphorus.
Thank you.
So phosphorus is the thing that fuels these algae blooms. And what we're seeing in Three-Cornered Pond is over the course of the summer, phosphorus is being released from the sediments. So the dark brown represents the deep areas of the pond, and the height of the mountain that's building tells us how much phosphorus is being released from the bottom. What happens in these ponds is the sediments have phosphorus, mostly from historic runoff, agricultural runoff, forestry runoff, and when the summer comes and the lake becomes stratified, the bottom layer, the cold layer close to the bottom, becomes anoxic. In other words, that cold water is trapped. There's a definite layer. We don't have mixing. And that bottom layer, without oxygen, the chemistry of the iron that's holding that phosphorus changes, and the phosphorus is released. So over the course of the summer, we see that phosphorus showing up in the water column. There's also some from precipitation, from runoff. So the top little bars at the very top of the graph show precipitation events. The beige represents the surface of the lake, and here we have phosphorus that's mostly coming from the runoff. And then in between is a mixed, the orange layer. Some of that's from the surface, some of that's coming up from the bottom. But that bottom layer is where we have some concern. As the lakes get warmer, that phosphorus represents a fuel for again the algae and the cyanobacteria. Sure.
Well, what's in the water? Is that stirring water enough to change the graph?
In small pond, in small.
Could you repeat her question for
Sure.
us, please?
She asked if boats traveling through the water would do some mixing. And they'll mix a little bit, but that surface layer is generally several meters. And so, a motorboat or a jet ski is not going to do a whole lot. You may have seen smaller ponds around cities or areas where they have like a fountain. That is intentionally to oxygenate and to mix. If you keep the bottom oxygenated, you're not going to have this phosphorus problem. But three-cornered pond, 3 Mile Pond, Weber, they're way too deep. And so there's no way, and they're way too big, to do that kind of oxygenation or mixing. Yeah.
All right, listen. Okay, I got to step in. This is not how we run our informational meetings. I'm sorry. So, I'm sorry about this. Please continue.
It's okay. Turnover is a good point. In the spring and in the fall, we have a period when the water temperatures are changing, and we do get a period when lakes naturally go through a mixing, and that is called turnover. So spring and fall, we do have a mixing of everything that's in there. In the fall, that's a little bit problematic because the phosphorus that's been at the bottom actually comes to the surface, and we often see some of our worst blooms in 3 Mile and Weber in the fall, right at turnover. So it's a good point. Just to my part, I'm just going to zoom in on what the city council has for NPS sites. You have 3. 2 are on town roads, Lamson Road, and one site is your Bicentennial Nature Park. So this table, which again is too small for you to read, has those sites. The top one, which is a road site, and again, these are places where there's erosion on the shoulder or a culvert problem. So that first one is considered a medium impact site and a relatively high cost, estimated at over $5,000 for that site, repairing that site. The second one is another culvert that's also on Lamson Road. That's a low impact and low cost, under $1,000 for remediation there. And then the Bicentennial Park site is considered low impact and low cost. So, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, under $10,000, these sites can be remediated. Where we are in the project, we'll finish our 10-year plan by the end of this year, which means once that's approved, we can go after funds for restoration, remediation work, what's called a 319 grant from DEP. That's our hope. And then we can do cost sharing with the towns, with the city, and with private property owners. But our goal is to get these sites taken care of, to at least take care of the surface runoff. We can't do a lot about the phosphorus that's already in the pond, except at Weber, where we do have a dam, and we do an annual flush to try to remove some of that phosphorus. Ultimately, what happened in Togus, what has happened over in a couple of the ponds in the Belgrade Lakes is an alum treatment has to happen, and that's aluminum sulfate being administered to the pond or lake to basically seal the bottom to keep that phosphorus from being released. And that can last 10 years, up to 20 years if it's done well. And the 2 larger lakes, the 2 larger ponds in our watershed will very likely need to have, in the next few years, some serious fundraising for alum treatments. It's estimated about $1.5 million for each of those lakes. Again, Three-Cornered Pond is threatened, but it is not impaired at this point, and so we'll hope to keep it that way. Any questions before I turn it over to Aaron?
Questions, councilors? Council Sinkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Mary. Thank you for coming and giving us this information. I love reading through this today. I am a data nerd, so thank you for all of this. I was wondering about on the 4-layered graph that just also kudos to whoever put that together because it's a lot of information in one image, and that is a difficult thing to manage. Yeah, so my question is, what we're focused on Three-Cornered is that lightest stratus there. That's what we're trying to
That's your
affect
surface
right now.
runoff. That's right.
And that's what's kind of within our control at this point
That's
without
right.
an alum treatment.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
great.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Lind?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mary, thank you. You did a really good job. It's pretty complicated. I'm going to ask a couple questions.
Sure.
Do you work? Or are you retired?
I am a retired biology professor from UMaine Farmington.
Okay, you sounded like it. I was going to say, most volunteers at lakes aren't, and so I'm going to put a little plug in because lakes are public property. They belong to the state of Maine.
Right.
So they're like parks, they're huge parks, and they're managed and run and helped by volunteers. So imagine if we said to the state of Maine, all your parks are going to be taken care of by volunteers that live near it. How's that going to work?
Right.
So I think we need to do a better job there.
Yeah.
I do want to mention the boats and remind everyone, wake speed 200 feet from the shore, because boats can chew up and cause erosion. So that's a big problem.
Very good point, yes.
It's a huge
really
problem.
important that
Yep.
we control basically that no-wake zone close to shore, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I just want to compliment you. It's a very complicated
it is.
report, and you put it in layman's terms very, very well.
Thank you, thank
Yep.
you. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron.
We've got one more question for you while you're still there. Sure. Councilor Lilly?
I didn't, I wanted to show one more slide. And
You can do that, too.
This is a summary from a lot of our, the chemistry work we did, the monitoring and the sampling. And we'll be continuing this summer about just once a month to keep up some data. But we were doing every 2 weeks, quite a few different chemical measurements. Most importantly, though, is the total phosphorus, the dissolved oxygen at each level, and the temperature. And this is just a summary slide for Three Cornered Pond itself. Surface waters are increasing, so that upper epilimnion is getting warmer. The Secchi disc readings, that's how transparent, how far down can we see on a Secchi disc, a device to measure that. And again, if it gets to the point of 2 meters or less, that's when we start to see a bad sign. And the other two ponds, much of the summer, we're below 2 meters. We cannot see that Secchi disc down below 2 meters. And again, the dissolved oxygen situation I mentioned, that's when the bottom of the lake becomes anoxic. And when those low levels are there, that's when that phosphorus gets released. So.
Councilor Lind?
Anything else before I?
Thank you for presenting this tonight. I just have a couple questions. If I look on page 4, that shows the NPS number of sites, just from the quick glance at it, 22 is residential. Is there, it seems like obviously it's the highest number, 40%. Is, even if the other, we're talking about some of the ones that the city has control over, which was about 3, is it even feasible if the city were to take care of those 3 without anything happening to the 22 on the residential? Is the pond?
It makes a dent, but no.
Okay.
We need everybody.
We
need everybody involved. We need the city to do its part. We
Right.
need the state to do its the state roads. We need the private. Three Cornered Pond has private roads, and then all the camps. Yeah. Everyone has to play a part.
Is there a way that with the volunteers and the groups that you can reach out to the individuals on the residential side to educate them?
Absolutely. Last fall, everybody who has an NPS site got a letter outlining their problem and giving a contact number if they had questions. Our step now this summer is, besides presenting to any of the cities and cities and towns and lake associations, we are also going to hold some public listening sessions and start to remind people that we're going to move toward having some funding to help people.
Yeah.
We can probably get a 50-50 match for many of these property owners. So if they have $1,000 worth of work, we can cover, half of that through a grant. So we will definitely be, we'll be reaching out to people and finding those who want to take action first. Because we have a 10-year plan, but we'd like to get as many early on as possible.
And without jumping ahead, is there going to be an opportunity for, if anybody's paying attention and listening, to know who to contact in case they might have missed those notices that went out, or a way to reach directly out to you and your team to get help on these NPS sites?
Through the main way would be through their lake association.
Lake Association.
And Ann Dorico will be talking about the lake association, but they all had a contact number or email.
Okay.
So, and we have heard back from some people who wanted more clarification and so forth, but we will be doing another round of again through public media, saying, okay, we're prioritizing the sites for this 10-year plan, and we'd like to have input from the public. So those efforts will be happening in the next few months.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Morris Polly?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. I think it's great that this is prevention that you're doing. Most of the time, we tend to be very reactive and not get ahead of this. So my question is in regards to your high-impact sites. There's only 7%, which is small, but what are those high-impact sites? What do they look like?
I'll have to look back at the actual spreadsheet, but, because this survey was done last May, so. State, so culvert sites, Route 3, so that's a DOT issue,
So the highly traveled road.
right?
Right, okay.
Right.
And then I'm also curious, having, worked on ponds that have had similar situations, in this case, there were a lot of older camps that were on it. And so some of it was contributed to failing septic systems. Are you finding that that has any contribution to what's going on here? Has that been part of the study?
That has been, our consultants did, so the volunteers did the walking around in teams, but the consultants took septic data from the city and the towns surrounding the ponds, and they have done estimations based on age of the septic system, distance from the pond. We don't have the capacity to go around and inspect every septic system. So we're counting on education to remind people, pump your septic system, pump your holding tank. But there is an estimate built into the modeling based on distance from the pond and age of the system. Yeah, which we have from the town and city data.
So has there been any thought or ability to, if there is a septic system that is failed, that they're not fixing, to utilize code for that?
Ideally, it would be a code enforcement issue.
I
But
agree.
again, you have to identify it. And again, we don't have the person power to go around and say, which septic systems are failing. But again, we can count on our pond associations, the membership, sharing of information, education, and, if there's somebody who does have an aging system, if they can come forward and say, I can't afford to fix this, then that would be something we could use some funding to help with when we get our grant, if and when we get our grant money.
I think that's a great message to include for individuals, is that if you do have one that's failing and you can't afford it, this is really important to
help.
talk with us so that we
Yeah.
can help.
Right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councilor Mishu?
I've been playing in Weber Pond for a long, long time. And I know 30 or 40 years ago, there were a lot of chicken farms around there. And, we used to hear that was one of the major contributors to the phosphorus and other things, because, those ponds long about after the 4th of July become a beautiful shade of green.
Absolutely.
And haven't for years, but last year my wife and I bought a camper, and we have a seasonal at Green Valley. So I get to be an eyewitness to that, and right now the water is clear,
It is lovely right now.
and I'm sure after the 4th of July it won't. And at least that's what we witnessed last year. And shortly after that, the beach area there had to be closed off because they did not allow anybody in the water.
Right.
So
Right.
I know Three Corner Pond isn't, but I think Weber Pond has got to be right at the top of the list for ponds that are in danger. I'm sure there's not anything that anybody that lives on the pond right now can do to reverse that. But
Well, the goal, one of the goals in the modeling process is to estimate if we were to take care of these NPS sites, how much would our phosphorus load be reduced by? So that's something that will come out in that 10-year report. So again, it does make a difference if we can control the runoff from the roads, from the camp roads, from the properties. It does help.
because
Does help lower that level of phosphorus.
I used to live in another town on the ocean a few years ago, and I remember before they built a sewage treatment plant, they send everybody out a red dye pill, and that little harbor turned red. So I don't know if, if
could do
that's,
that.
if that can be used to identify any issues, but, again, it's Weber Pond, there are a lot of vintage places
That's right.
on that pond, and I'm sure there are septics that have probably outlived their usefulness. So, I hope and pray, that I want that, we love it out there, and I want that campground to be able to succeed and go every weekend and see kids playing and fishing and everything else. But until that is addressed, I'm afraid that's going to be a thorn in some side. So I'm hoping that these 3 ponds are addressed, especially the two that might be in more danger sooner than later, because I know Togus Pond 3 years ago to what it is today, it's just nothing sort of amazing.
Exactly, exactly. That's why we're most likely going to need an alum treatment in 3 Mile first, because a third of our phosphorus in Weber comes from 3 Mile Pond, so we have to take care of that.
Stop it
one.
where it starts.
We got to start that with that one.
Okay, I didn't have any questions. I was just making observations,
Yeah.
but thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else at this point? All right. You have other presenters?
Yes, yes. I'll send it over to Aaron.
Hi, Council. I want to ask her a question real quick.
Mary?
Mary, just,
Mary,
sorry.
we have another question apparently.
It's just an observation, I'm sorry. The phosphorus that you did, the chart you had with the phosphorus, 30 parts per billion?
30 parts per billion.
That
Right.
is very high.
Exactly. Anything over 15 to 18, you're setting up for a bloom.
And that was on Three Corner Pond
Yeah,
with that clarity. That should set off alarms.
yeah,
I was shocked at that. That's
Yeah.
extremely high.
yeah.
That's higher than, I think, most impaired lakes in Maine right now. So,
Oh, actually, it's nothing compared to what we're seeing in Weber and 3 Mile. I mean,
you're right, 15 to 18, you hit 19, that's when you start to get really, really worried. I just want to make sure that wasn't a typo, so that got my attention in
no,
a big
those
way.
are real numbers.
Thank you.
Hi, Council, Mayor, City Manager, Aaron Sinkowitz. I'm here in my capacity as the Chair of the Augusta Conservation Commission. Just looking to lend my voice to some of this stuff, and I wanted to take a step back for just a minute. I know about 2 weeks ago, Councilor Lynn brought forward the Lake Smart evaluation that was done at Bicentennial Nature Park. I want to kind of talk about the difference between what we're talking about tonight and what that is and how they're similar. So this survey is really a big picture, like Mary was saying, about the entire watershed, and it's looking for points of erosion. And really, at the end of that, we get a report for a 10-year plan or a plan going forward to address all of those. Whereas the Lake Smart valuation is you take someone and a personal property or a specific location and get it evaluated under these Lake Smart conditions. And from that, they're looking at things a little bit more holistically than just runoff or just erosion points. They're looking for the erosion points, yes, but they're also looking for the habitat and the whole ecosystem of what you can do to benefit that. And when you get it, if you meet all those points, you get a nice sign and it says to the community that, hey, we care about the entire lake and what we can do to make it better. And so just trying to keep those two separate, but they are the same. And of course, BNP falls under both of them. And I'm here to encourage the city to take care of both sides of that. So I just want to set that and then move into basically echoing a lot. I kind of missed it 2 weeks ago when you were talking about this, but wanted to echo what I heard from a lot of you is how important BNP is to the city. I mean, it's an incredible resource that we have. I don't know of many cities that have their own kind of pond space, Bicentennial Nature Park. And it provides a really unique service or access point to nature for a lot of Augusta residents. And so I would encourage you to continue to put effort into that and continue to keep it. Of course, if we were to lose that, it would be really detrimental, not only to our residents, but also to the pond health. Of course, if that gets developed or anything like that, our runoff goes up exponentially. Fun fact for you, a mature forest with good leaf litter and detritus underneath all the trees can absorb up to 2 inches of rainfall without having any runoff. So 2 inches of rainfall, compare that to a lawn, which is about 1/4 of an inch. So the forest that we have at Bicentennial Nature Park does a really good job of absorbing a lot of the rainfall and stopping that runoff into the lake. I think when we look at what the city can do, it's a small number, like Councilor Lilly pointed out, that we actually have control over when it comes to this survey, just 3 points out of all of them. But it does set a really good example if the city takes it, the bull by the horns and says, we're going to address these because it's important to the lake, it's important to this resource that we have. And it is, it's not nothing. I know money's tight, but when we look at how we can use our volunteers and the services we have, I think it's a realistic thing for the city to do. So therefore, I think that the NPS sites on the city property should be a priority for us to address. One other thing that I wanted to bring up was our testing consistency across our ponds. I sat in on the report of this entire watershed plan and listened to what Weber has and what 3 Mile Pond has for testing history. And they have, in a lot of cases, up to 50 years of testing consistency. And from that, you get some really good trends of what all the numbers are doing over a long period of time. Whereas at Three Corner Pond, we have some numbers, but there are gaps in what we have. And it's for various amount of reasons, but I do think it's one thing that the city could help with is ensuring that we have a consistent testing plan, at least testing once a month during the summer months for this total phosphorus number. And I think the Lake Association can help with that, but having the city kind of be the backbone of that, not only at Three Corner Pond, but also Togus, where they're kind of completely contained within the city. I think that's something that we can do to contribute to understanding the problem. Last time I talked to you from the Conservation Commission standpoint, I talked to you about the different volunteer opportunities we're trying to foster within the city from a ecological standpoint, whether it's helping remove invasives or plant natives or whatnot. Our commitment is to try and provide at least one opportunity a month for Augusta citizens to come out and volunteer. And I see Bicentennial Nature Park as a great addition to that. It can be a great place to share some education. Things like live staking, which I have to say is kind of like cheating. For those who don't know, live staking is basically you're taking a twig or a cutting from something like a willow or dogwood, and you literally just drive it into a moist site, and it grows a shrub. It feels like cheating. But being able to share that kind of information with the other residents, the people who do have more of the NPS sites, is a big education opportunity we have. And using a place like Bicentennial Nature Park is pretty much perfect to do that. I mean, we have an opportunity to do that right there as to make the erosion better and can use it as an educational piece too. One other idea I had was doing native plant swaps. When I grow native plants, it's usually from seed, and I've got 30 seedlings of the same plant, and I'll find a place to put them, but it's better if we can swap them and share with everybody. And doing something like that would be great too. And then I was thinking when I heard the report of Lake Smart last couple of weeks ago, I started talking with Rich and said, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we got a group of volunteers together to knock out some of those things that are on that Lake Smart evaluation? A lot of it's not real high skill level, something that a bunch of volunteers can show up and help with that. And so we're working towards that as well. But just wanted to lend my voice to say I really think that this BNP is a huge resource for us, and we should be putting these NPS sites that are on it, as well as the other city properties, high on our list to maintain this resource that is Three Corner Pond. And I know Anne's going to talk a little bit more about Three Corner Pond, so I'm going to pass it over to her. Y'all had a bunch of questions earlier. I'm not sure you'll have any more for me, but I'll answer them if you got them.
Let me see, Councilor Lilly.
Thank you for going through that. Coming back to the NPS for the city of Augusta, and this might be more of a question for the city manager or for Earl, is 303-02, is that one already going to be taken care of, or did we talk about this one already? I know it's talking about the Lake Smart, but.
Which one's 3-02?
Yeah, this is the one at the Bicentennial Nature Park.
Oh, yeah.
That one's already been, or is in the process of being completed.
Correct. Earl can come up and talk, but that's already been identified in his purview, and he's been out there and can talk about it.
Evening, councilors, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, Earl Kingsbury, Director of Community Services. Aaron, thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I forgot the names. I apologize, Ann and Thank you so much. Yeah, we've reviewed the Lake Smart study. I've reached out to Stephanie Taylor with the Kennebec County Water Soil Conservation Commission. And we're going to schedule a meeting with her to help us devise a plan, a game plan to implement the deficiencies that were identified in the Lake Smart plan.
Is it? Okay. So we're on the process of at least, right, this one, we can kind of cross it off. I know the project's still being completed, but for the most part, we're starting to get a game plan for this one to be completed.
Yeah, I wouldn't cross it off yet, but you
Yeah.
know, as a property owned by the city, we need to be leaders.
Sure.
We need to be good stewards of the lake, and we need to set examples.
Thank you.
Counselor Lind?
So I'm going to put a plug in for ward counselors. This is in my ward. And I also happen to be president of the China Lake Association. And I've talked to Earl quite a bit. And I want to push back a little bit on Lake Smart and just say this is an example of where Lake Smart works really, really well. So Lake Smart comes out and identifies some items. Now we're going to partner, I believe, with Stephanie Taylor over at Kennebec County Water and Soil. She's going to come in with her perspective, which is broader. And she'll be able to take both the NPS and the Lake Smart. It's a trigger point usually. And the thing about Lake Smart that's good, it's non-regulatory. And so people sometimes can be a little more open to that. And there's an incentive to get a plaque and all of that. But that can start a further discussion down the road to really address the big problems. But what I can't help myself. I just want to say that these lakes have died by 1,000 cuts. So every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. When people say, well, it's a big project, there's no easy fix. There's no big project. There's no silver bullet. It's 1,000 Band-Aids that are going to fix these lakes one at a time. So every plant helps. Earl was out there. I saw the leaves getting raked. I got a little upset about that. I wanted the leaves to stay. I wanted the duff to stay. So, I'm here for a while. I'm a lake person, and I'm on. It's great. This is fantastic. Thank you.
Anyone else at this point? Counselor Aaron, I have a question for you from Counselor Morse-Polly.
Sure. Hi, Erin. Thank you. I'm not sure if this is probably a question you can answer or not, but the way I'm looking at this is that we really have three entities that need to work together, which is the city, because we have property out there and roads, the state, because they're their roads, and then the residential property owners. So you're here talking with us as a city and kind of saying, hey, this is what we need to do, which is great. And I know that you've sent out letters to residential homeowners to say, hey, this is what you can do to help. How and who would work with the state to kind of push them to say, hey, some of these areas are, and you are correct as a state, there's some of them are high impact areas. Are they going to fix that? Who's going to push that? Who talks to them? Who kind of says, hey, this is our lake, this is our town, this is our city, this is what we need you to do to help take care of it for us?
Hey, we need some attention too, right? I think the starting point is getting that report from this watershed analysis. And once you have the report, you kind of are able to present something to the state. But I don't want to speak out of turn.
The state did receive a letter with their DOT. The DOT has all their sites. So whether DEP follows up with them or whether our consultants follow up with those, but yeah, they'll be built into the 10-year plan in terms of how we prioritize what's going to get done.
And in your experience, are they receptive? I mean, did they move forward on that? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we'll
I only know, I'm pushing Vassalboro to do their road sites. We just put in a separate grant to try to fund those 10 sites that we had, but I'm not sure about the DOT. But I did hear from Eric that there's somebody new there who maybe has more experience with this, so
Okay.
I may resend the letter. I'm thinking I might be time to resend the letter.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I would just add to that it helps to be a squeaky wheel. And Earl can tell you that I can be a real squeaky wheel. So that's certainly something we would look at.
All right. Thank you.
Counselor Sinkowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Sinkowitz. If the lovely residents of Augusta listening would like to help volunteer, where would they find those volunteer opportunities with the Conservation Commission?
Yeah, so we have a email address that's kind of long, but it's the Augusta Conservation Commission at gmail.com. And they can send requests to that. We kind of keep an email list of past volunteers. And so we do a volunteer event on the third Saturday of every month. So it's kind of repeatable that way. This month we're doing one at the Augusta Nature Education Center on Saturday. And so that's one way that they can get a hold of us. But I think that's probably the best way.
Great. Thank you very much.
Others? All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann DeRico. I'm the president of the Lake Association for Three Corner Pond Community. And I'm very excited to have all this collaborative engagement. Great teams from Rich, Earl. I mean, you may not know the face, but they know my name. I've been around, and Jared. I think it goes a long way to say, look what we're doing. Look at this community engaging in something really positive. You know, I think the mission is clear. It's prevention. We're on the cusp, guys. It's like, let's get in for short money. Let's do it together as a community. And so with that in mind, I think community engagement is everything. Volunteerism, to go back to what Aaron's talking about, we have that. And that commitment is what's going to make the difference, including partnering with all the groups we've been partnering with. The other lake associations, we've learned so much from them. We're new. We have only become a legal lake association for about a year, but engaged for over 5, you know. So Weber Pond, 3 Mile, everybody's reaching out. And I think this is a collaborative opportunity for all of us to come together. Again, I'm going to just kind of focus on the basics here of the bottom. What do we want? We want our kids be able to enjoy it. This is our nature. You know, this is such a gem in this community of Augusta. And the quality of our lake is everything. Something nobody seems to mention a lot about is the property values and the cost for not doing prevention. And I did hear, I believe it was you, excuse me, basically saying, you know, quality costs now or later. Which way do you want to do it? We're talking about possibly, I don't know, what did you say, a maximum of $10,000 with all of us engaged, plus the community. And yet I look to Togus, I look to our neighbors right next door who've expended almost $1 million in the Allen treatment. So it's like, you know, and 3 Mile and Weber. So as part of the head lake that goes to them, they want to make sure that we're not adding more phosphorus to their existing issues as well. So that's number one. I think as we go forward, you're going to see I did a lot more pictures because it really is about what do we need. We do, people don't even realize we own a dam on Three Corner Pond. That dam is now being managed by the beavers. Okay, it's been in disrepair for many years. It's non-functioning. So when somebody was talking earlier about, you know, when the phosphorus comes to the surface and you need to do a runoff, correct? Flush. I'm learning, Pete. We can't do it. We can't flush it. All right. And so I think looking at that dam and saying, what is really important here? It's only 6 feet high. It's not a huge dam like Weber. But what I would like from the city is an expert. You have a dam expert? I don't mean dam expert. I mean an expert in dams. You know, somebody that could help us pro bono. So it's not just dollars, guys. It's really that expertise that's going to make a difference. Because then maybe we can go for funding. We own it. The city doesn't own it. The Lake Association owns it. But it's like, it's non-functioning and there's no funds. So that's number one. The second thing I'm really looking at is, you know, and I can see it's already happening. I don't even need to mention it. The full collaboration of all of us with the water-based management plan. You know, the last water-based management plan, the Three Corner Pond was a part of, ended in 2005. And for a sake of $500, they were no longer involved. Now here we are 21 years later saying, you know, let's not do that again. Let's be engaged too, because we're, as a community, part of this. We have to be part of the solution. We're not just coming here and saying, you do it. We need to do it. Another part of that is the water testing. Aaron talked a little bit about the fact that it was inconsistent. So our trend analysis is weak. And that's because all of a sudden we'll do it one year and then not another. We do SECI disc testing. I'm certified and so is Dawn. I got board members here. But the oxygen, the phosphorus, that's a whole different level. And so now we've been very fortunate to not only have Jim Webb, who's a chemist, but Mary has volunteered and they come out and actually take that sampling out of our lake. And so it's like without that expertise or that support, now what happens is that has to go to the lab, which is state run. Each sample costs $45. So what I'm asking for here is any support, whether it's talking to the state, looking at any type of support. We estimate our cost per year, even for this summer, would be about $450. We're not coming in asking for $1 million. We're coming in saying, you know, that would be a true partnership. And that would benefit the Bicentennial Park as well. Education's everything. But the one thing that we are very steadfast on is protecting the Bicentennial Park. We've heard many times, you know, we want to make it marketable. We, as a lake association, want to support any efforts around education and looking for funds, whether it's through companies or other city departments with TNTA funds, training and technical assistant. It is a piece of heaven that people could go and actually not only learn about nature, but deal with mental health, go for retreats, team building. I mean, as a professional myself, all these opportunities could be found right there. And so maybe if there's a way that we can kind of come together and maybe help market the park, I think we are totally on board. I know we use it now for birthday parties, and we have our lake association meetings there. But I think it really has new opportunities that haven't been visualized yet. So I'm hoping that whether it's lake stewards, Maine Audubon comes and does a training, connecting with Lake Smart, connecting with Aaron, there's a lot out here that we can do. Don't forget, if anybody saw, we have look out for loons, lead, fish lures over there at the table. So who are we? This is our community. We do winter on ice. That's our lake. And we get together with our neighbors and our community, and it's very strong. It's getting stronger every day because we have one common goal. And we are really working to protect not only the lake, but the watershed, and go beyond that into the other lakes and become a collaborative partner, whether it's a KVA, LA, whatever it is, we can learn from each other. And that's important as part of our prevention plan. Oh, we have kids fishing, yeah. Down on the right, you remember when we had no snow? I mean, the ice has been weird on the pond the past couple of years. You know, it's mushy and, you know. So we had to go to Western View, but we still met and did look out for loons and how to fish lead free. And any opportunity for education also is an opportunity to bring your community together. Again, this on the top left-hand corner, we have a private boat launch. It is not public access, so that does help with our pond. But it had a lot of trees growing and reaching out to our community and the road association never and just say, we need to take out 6 trees. And the next thing you know, it was kind of like a Tonka truck moment. We had people coming down the road, you know, with all of their tractors and taking care of business. And so that's what you're seeing there. I'm sure people know John, right? Earl, do you recognize John Dennett over there? I mean, Rich, Earl, everybody. Anytime we say, can we do this? Yes. It's been very inclusive, so we appreciate that. We also had a lot of problems in the lake with old filament, that type of stuff. So we put up here, collect it and deposit it here to protect our lake and our animals. The watershed survey volunteer team, I would say we average 6 to 10. We're a very small community. To give you some perspective, we're less than 200 acres. The Bicentennial Park is 28.9 acres, makes up over 10% of our pond, and 1,000 feet of water frontage. And yet its impact is great. And so it wouldn't take a lot to push it over because it is small. It does have underground springs, but I don't know how much more this can take. Probably a third of the people here were from Three Corner Pond. We volunteer. We're very active and we support other lakes as well as they support us. So with that, I just want to keep the engagement going. I want to thank you for all the support we've had and kind of understand when we ask for these things that where we're coming from. And I can't thank the Tri-Grant and Mary and her group. To have experts that are willing to do this for us is huge. So, thank you. Any questions?
Sure, Council Mishu.
Thank you very much. You mentioned that every time you take a water sample to the state, it costs you $45. They're charging you $45 to test their own water?
That's a good point. Did you see that, Mary? See, that's the type of stuff we need. Yeah, see, I can make the call and ask that.
It's worth it, I think, if you so let me know how you make out. And you've only been a year old, and if you have, and I think you're a pretty smart lady, if you could find somebody to write some grants, you'd be surprised with the money might start flowing to help these things.
Yeah, I hope so. And yeah, we will continue. We're a nonprofit 501c3 now. And we will be continuing with any opportunity through experts. Like I said, even with the dam, if somebody could just say, here's an expert assessment of what we need to do, where to start, then we can take that and apply for those funds. But, yeah, thank
Because
you.
Three Corner Pond starts it, and then it goes to 3 Mile Pond, then it goes to Weber Pond.
And you already have enough problems. So
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Council Lynn?
I want to tie a bow on this real quick and just say, the city's a property owner. And if I was a property owner in a pond with 30 parts per billion phosphorus, I'd be very concerned.
Yep, we are.
And that number, I didn't know it was that high. It's the first time I've seen that. To put it in perspective, I think Cobboss's running around 15 parts per billion. China's around 19 parts per billion, and I'm nervous at 19. 30 is very high.
We're very concerned. And
How deep is the deepest part of that pond, Ann, do you know?
they say 33 on the Midas map, but it runs about 36 feet deep.
So that was my point when I talked about Bicentennial Park. That pond does not have a lot of capacity to absorb that much phosphorus, and that's what's scary. I mean, this is
And if it was given to developers or sold or couldn't meet its budget, and that's why we're so engaged.
I think you're at a point where it's going to take a lot of aggressive, fast action, because that's pretty serious. That'd be the equivalent of someone showing up in an emergency room bleeding to death. You got to go fast. But 30 parts per billion is very high. So that's a wake-up call to all of the people around that lake. Thank you.
So we've just received a reminder to speak directly into the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Usually I'm never told to speak up.
Councilor Sinkowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ann, for coming down, and thank you for all the work you've done. I know that in many ways this is your lake with the association, and it is also ours. And I know as someone who uses Bicentennial Nature Park, I really appreciate the association and everything that they do to make it so that they continue to use it, but also all of us continue to use it.
Absolutely.
When my children think of swimming in the summertime, it is either my sister's pool or Bicentennial Nature
love
Park,
it.
and that is what they think of. So this is something that I hope we can keep for them, like you said here, safety for everyone that uses it for a very long time. I think the answer to this is probably no, and this is probably a question for city manager. When I think about long-term projects like this that are consistent, one of the things that comes to mind for me are TIF funds. TIF, I know, can be used for infrastructure in certain ways. Are any of our environmental impacts, would any of that fall under TIF funding?
I think if we could connect it to economic development, probably be the best way. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty flexible with that, so we would look closely at something like that.
I would be very interested in looking into something like that because, as Councillor Lynn said, we are a property owner. We have a responsibility to come to the table as well. And the purpose that I understand TIF funding to be is to move forward projects like this in the city of Augusta to make sure we have that reliable base of funding that provides exponential growth in the city for each dollar that we're able to use of TIF funding. So I would like to explore that if possible.
And if businesses could take advantage of the moment and use that as part of their professional development, maybe there's another link there too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Anne. It was really helpful to go through all of this with everybody here and understand it better.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Lilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to thank all the presenters tonight. I think you're finding willingness from the city to be a good partner with you and your teams. But ultimately, I think the state is really who needs to be helping us out here. I think we're down as the city to be helpful, but I think need to continue to ask the state for tremendous help here. There's some numbers that were scary. I don't fully understand all those numbers, but what Councilor Lynn is nervous, it makes me nervous when it comes to waterways. Need to hound the state. And hopefully you're going to have some, either continuing to have legislators, everybody's being elected this year, so you're going to have either new or existing legislators. Be a good opportunity to hound them to help you with getting some help on the water here.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
That's it.
No? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. All right, Mary, are we good? Is that anything you want to wrap up with, or?
I did just check back on my total list for Three Corner Pond, and the two high impact were both North Belfast Ave. So it is the state road that has two different sites that are pretty bad. So.
All right. Councilor Lynn?
So two things, Mayor. I just want to mention Cindy Dion is the person's name at Maine DOT. That's a fairly new division that handles that. And I want to circle back to Councilor Lilly's comment about the state. Representative Briggio, this is his district, Three Corner Pond. He also sits on I want to get this right, Environmental and Natural Resources Council. And for 2 years, two sessions back to back, he has sponsored legislation to fund the Lake Restoration Fund. And as an example, 4 years ago, that left committee unanimous at $2 million. By the time it left appropriations, is at $200,000. So I think any support that you can provide, reach out to state senator right now is Dick Bradstreet, and Dick, I've talked to Dick about lakes, and he's very amenable to that. And same with Representative Briggio, push them to try to get more funding, because again, these bodies of water belong to everybody. They're not just ours, but they belong to the entire state.
Yeah, that LD 2141, I think it was, that we had a chance to get some bottle bill money for lake restoration, and it didn't pass, but that was going to be in the millions. That was going to be the kind of thing we need. 200,000 for our 2,700 ponds in Maine is, yeah.
6,000 lakes and ponds in Maine, Mayor. I'll correct you. The 6,000.
You're right. 2,700 over the 10-acre size.
Right, but the 6,000 total.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for coming, and thank you, Council, for your good questions. We're going to move to item C2 on our agenda tonight, and that's the Emergency Overnight Warming Center request. Councilor Lind?
So, I sit on the advisory committee. This is my church, and Julia and Rob were here last year, and they needed some money to carry payroll over the summer, and the council asked, could you seek some grants? Could you do some internal work? And they have. The fortunate thing is they've got and correct me if I'm wrong, Julia, and please do, got a very good staff that is returning consistently, which is a gift. Salaries are increased a little bit. Expenses have increased a little bit. Although they've gotten grants, I still think they're going to need a little bit of help, so I encourage them to come forward. And I think the council last time they were here said if you need anything, come forward. And so they're here.
Thank you, Councilor Lynn. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and councilor members. Thank you so much for having us back again. You did ask us to come back if we needed help, so here we are. We had a very successful season, but we are here with a very specific kind of time-sensitive request, and it's for $13,770 of opioid settlement funding. We know that there's one pot of settlement funding that was through a grant process that was brand new, and there's a pot of money of settlement funding that's for the discretion of the council to kind of disperse how they see best fit. As you know, the Warming Center plays a critical role in Augusta's approach to tackle the opioid crisis. More than half of our guests last year were either in active use, in treatment programs, or at very high risk of overdose. So we do save lives. We do reverse overdoses. We decrease the amount of infection that comes from needle usage. We safely dispose of those things. So all of these outcomes align directly with Exhibit E priorities in the opioid settlement funding priorities that you guys have set forth. The challenge that we face is pretty simple. Our operational funding always typically covers our operations through the winter months. However, they do not allow that funding to be used during the summer months. As we know, you cannot just jump into a warming center in October and plan to be staffed adequately, trained adequately, with everything set up to go. And so we're in a position right now that in order to enter the next winter season ready and prepared to tackle the high level of folks that we saw unhoused and needing our shelter over the winter, we need to be able to work through the summer. This is most likely our busiest grant season. We have 2 that are pending. We have 8 between now and October that we're applying for. So it's certainly not for lack of trying. We brought in the highest award for Maine Housing's winter warming shelter last year, and they have assured us that they have that funding available again this winter to apply for. So we feel like we're in a good position to open in November. But if we can't work through the summer and work through all of the things that we need to do, we're going to come in unprepared and maybe not ready to kind of tackle what we have for the last 4 years. One of the things that we did do, and I can leave this here for you, we did put together an off-season work plan. It's divided by month with very specific tasks and things that we do so that you guys can have an understanding of what needs to be done every single summer to make sure that we can open every single November. And we've been grateful that we've been able to, but if we can't get through the summer months, we're not entirely sure how well we're going to do with opening in November. So this is really important, crucial bridge funding that we're asking for. Some of the other things that we're doing on our end, we always mail out donor letters. We just sent about 200 out last week. We've gotten several back that have some smaller donations in them, so we're hopeful that those will continue to come in. We're also working on a draft letter to send to other municipalities that surround us. What we have definitely seen is we take on some folks from Gardner, Hollowell, China, Chelsea, Winthrop, all of the areas that don't have a warming center of their own. And so, of course, they're going to come here so that they have somewhere to not freeze to death in the winter. And while we're honored to take them, we also understand that this is not entirely Augusta's burden to shoulder all of it. And so we would like to reach out to those municipalities, and we have very specific data numbers on how many folks have come from each municipality that we intend to include in those letters, because I think if folks could see it's not just some of our folks go to the warming center, it's 86 or it's 25. Some people really need to see that number to understand how much support Augusta and the warming center are offering these people in different communities that surround us. So that is definitely on our list to do, but we did discuss mailing it out, I think, in the fall. Councilor Lynn mentioned that's when budget stuff kind of happens with different municipalities, and we thought maybe it would be best timed to send out in the fall. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, late
Okay.
fall, yep.
I don't know how that stuff works, so. So we're doing that. We have a fundraiser that's set to go in October. We looked at the venue last week. We're super excited about that. It'll probably be our biggest fundraising effort. That's one area for us that we continue to really try to bolster and grow in. I feel like we're just getting our feet underneath us. We know nonprofits, it takes 5 to 7 years to get solid kind of ongoing funding. And, you know, we just finished season 4. And we've brought in a lot of money revenue-wise from grants and such, but we're in such a unique position where we're a seasonal kind of critical emergency response and not part of like an ongoing infrastructure in the city. So we're always in this dilemma every summer. How are we going to make it through so that we can open in November? So we're here to ask for help for that. And the other thing is we did talk to Maine Housing. I think I probably said this. They did say that funding would be available for us. So we're very looking forward to that. I think we're in a good position for that because we never know if we're going to get that every season. And if without that, they really are our lifeline, we wouldn't be able to open and run. So that's kind of where we're at. I can leave these work plans for you if you want them. I didn't get a chance to send them out prior when I sent out everything else. And I did send the budget sheet to all of you. It kind of outlines like our estimated summer budget. You look like maybe you didn't get that.
I believe Loretta sent it by email, but if not, we'll get it printed in.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay.
there was a follow-up email because it came out
Gotcha.
Tuesday, right?
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So it's like an Excel sheet that shows the estimated budget, how much we have, like a little bit over $55,000 in our account right now, and our summer budget was 69 something, so the difference was 13,770, and that's what we're asking for to kind of bridge that gap for us. And then we also sent letters of support that we got from various organizations around the community and a business owner and some others. So please ask questions.
Councilor Mishu, then Councilor Austin.
Remind us, how many beds in that facility?
50.
50 beds in that facility? It was a pretty cold winter, so I'm assuming for a good part of the winter you were at capacity?
We were at capacity.
And you mentioned earlier that there are several people that get out of the cold there that may have some type of dependencies.
Absolutely.
How percentage-wise of the 50 people on a nightly basis, do you think are people that have some type of an addiction?
I would say more than half.
More than half?
More than half.
Okay, because we had a,
You too. Would you agree? I would say about 50%, if not more.
if not more, okay, because we were told a couple weeks ago there are probably between 12 and 15 people that had a real problem, but maybe all of those people that have the problem are coming from out of town. I was just curious.
So I would say 50% in the category of either inactive substance use in like ongoing recovery treatment programs, those kinds of things, or at risk for relapse. Maybe they're new into recovery, but their risk for relapse is very, very high. So maybe in that category, 50% over those three.
Okay, so not necessarily people that are actively using, or yes?
I would say more than 20 out of 50 are actively using, that come in absolutely under the influence, that take constant monitoring to make sure that they get through the night safely. Yeah.
Well, just real quickly, I think since you've been open, I don't think I've heard anything but good things about what you're doing there, and you know, you're an asset to our community currently. We're hoping that someday you're out of a job. But until then, you know, keep up the good work, and I will certainly advocate for your needs, because you guys are really, really doing an excellent job in providing services that are needed right now.
You're going to make me cry. Thank you. We appreciate that. It's a lot of hard work. And so hearing that from our community means everything to us. And it's why we continue to do what we do, is because we have your support. So thank you.
Councilor Austin.
Thank you. And I'll echo those accolades. And also thank you for coming down tonight and offer my support for this. And it sounds like a very modest request, really, in the scheme of things. I guess my question would be maybe directed to the city manager and to ask if we need any additional information to qualify this request for those funds. Are there any specific additional information we would need to take this to the next step?
You mean as far as does it qualify for opioid funding?
Yes, and would you need any additional information for us to move forward?
No, I believe we've looked at it and it does, and I would just need a council order authorizing at a business meeting, and we would do it that way. Similar to, I think before we used contingency, but this would be out of the opioid funding.
Great, thank you.
Others? Council Sinkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Julia and Rob. Thank you for coming down, and thank you so much for the work that you do. As other councilors have mentioned, it is essential to our city. Every year, when you run to the end of your season and close your doors, we see the impact. And as much as I want you to be open 365 days, and we will take what you can give us. So thank you. As someone who has spent a lot of time looking at Exhibit E over the last few months, I think this is clearly definitely a qualifying expense for our opioid settlement funds. And I think I imagine that 13,000 is a very small percentage of your overall operating costs for the year and is wildly out of whack with the amount of people that you serve who have some sort of effect from the opioid epidemic. I imagine that percentage is somewhere certainly less than 20% of your operating budget.
Yes.
And the population that you serve is likely around 50%, if not higher. So for me, that is a clear yes. And I just thank you so much. You also anticipated my question and providing the breakdown of work. I was like, I wonder what this will be paying for over the summer. So thank you for that. I will be looking forward to looking at it. But just thank you for coming down. Thank you for your work. And I'm definitely in support of this.
Thank you. And thank you for the work that you did on the grant. That is an exorbitant amount of work. That grant was incredibly well written, very time consuming. And the only reason we didn't really sort of go that route is the language was kind of structured in a way that we thought we just didn't fit. It sounded like it was more for like one-time funding projects.
Yes.
Not really ongoing operations. And I always look at us like we're ongoing operations, that we don't fit for that. And so it was suggested that we kind of take this avenue. So it wasn't that we shied away from the grant. We're used to writing grants, but it just seemed like this was a better avenue for us. But you did great work on that, you and your team that put that together. So
Thank you. I have a really wonderful task force who has dedicated a lot of time and effort to it. And I appreciate you hearing the spirit of that process and that the council and then the task force really leaned into that one-time funding. So I appreciate you not putting us in a position to say no to you because we would not want to.
we didn't want you to either.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Morris Polly?
Hi, Rob. Hi, Julie. Thanks for coming down. I just want to echo a little bit that from the Appendix E, somebody who has also spent a lot of time and also knowing what you guys do, that you really are not just housing individuals, that you're providing treatment connection, which is really important. And we appreciate that connection that you do make on each and every single person. And I can say that I have seen higher opioid settlement request funds for far less of an impact. And so, what you guys are doing and how you're able to kind of supplement that is very impressive. I also think that it's a really great idea that you send this letter to other municipalities. I am interested in what that brings, and also interested in possibly as we have more individuals that are coming from other surrounding towns, maybe even attending one of their select board or council meetings so that they can really hear about what you do and put a face to it and how many individuals are coming from their municipality and how important it is for them to support Augusta and support the services that we do have here. But so hopefully you'll give us an update that it has a positive impact with the letter, and then maybe we can talk about a next step.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Lilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can't imagine a better way to spend some of this money. This is a very small amount for what you guys do. I'm all in favor of it and appreciate the hard effort and the work that goes into it. I am looking forward to seeing the information that you have that for us there, but this is a no-brainer for me. So thank you guys for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Councilor Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Rob. I want to say just a couple things. First off, you folks provide the safety net that we so desperately needed to get through this time. We're working on other alternatives and some longer, more sustainable type solutions, but it takes a lot of time to do those things. Without you giving the strength to our safety net, it would be so much worse. We still struggle with it, but it would be so much worse. And how good it must feel for you folks, because most every night you are either there or when you finally go home, you get to go home and say, you know what? More likely than not, I saved a life today. And that's just amazing. You folks are the angels among us, and you're like the front line. Couldn't be more grateful for what you do for our community, more proud of what I've seen you do with that program over the years that you've done it. I really appreciate you finally somebody stepping up and taking this to the other towns. It is as much their responsibility as it is Augusta's.
Sure.
I've talked to a few. I get crickets. Don't feel bad if that's what happens. At least it's a start. And if they don't do anything, then shame on them, because Augusta will still continue to do this. Your request is so small, especially in comparison to how large the job is and what you all do. My slight concern is it enough? Should maybe a little more. And I know you don't want to push things, but I mean, let's be realistic. As it was said by one of my counselors, there's a whole lot of people that ask for a whole lot more and do a whole lot less. So I would be supportive of the request, and I would be supportive of that request being a little bit higher. So, God bless you both. Thank you.
Thank you. There was some discussion about higher.
And what was your discussion about higher? What did you really come up with, what the real need
I
was?
mean, I personally have always just been someone that asks for what we need.
I understand.
And no more. And it's always worked for us. So I struggle, I think, with that personally. I mean, could we ask for a little bit more of a buffer? Sure. If we really needed it, do I feel like I could come back here and ask you for it? Yes.
Yep.
So I don't ask for more than we need. I don't do it. And I maybe I should, maybe that's not smart. It's just always the way that I've operated, and it's always worked out for us. And I've just kind of gone with that. So if we needed more down the line by the end of the summer, I would come ask you. I just don't want to ask for more than we actually need.
Well, that's appreciated, and that speaks so much as to who and what we know you are. So, again, bless you. I'd be supportive of this as an order moving forward, and I think we should have a little bit of a discussion amongst ourselves as to what that real number should be. So,
Councillor
thank
Lynn.
you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Julie, one thing. If somebody's watching and they want to donate to the warming center, how would they do that?
Thank you, Councillor Lynn, who always remind me. Anybody that would like to donate, we have the church website, South Parish.
Congregational church?
I thought it was just southparishchurch.com.
No. I don't know what
know,
the
they have-
.com is, but if they Google South Parish Congregational Church,
Or you can email us at southparishwarmingcenter@gmail.com.
there you go.
Or you can call the church office, 207-622-0552. And we have a PayPal button on the website that people can just donate that way. Or you can just come by and see us at the office because we're there working. So you're welcome to just stop by. And if anybody wants to come see the warming center, take a tour, we're more than happy. I had no idea that you came. It was probably a month or so at the end of our season. You came and Rob took you down. So thank you for coming to see it.
Very, very enlightening.
And originally, the municipal letter idea actually came from the very first meeting that I had here, and you suggested that. And it's always been in the back of our minds that we need to do that, and then you brought it up the other day, and so we didn't forget that you mentioned it year one, so we're going to do that.
Julie, what was the exact amount? Just remind me of the number that you came up with. Your ask. How much was your ask tonight? 13,000?
13,770.
13,770. So I've been doing budgeting for a while. That's a pretty specific number, which could drift either way. So I guess my feeling, I just would like to throw out an order for 15,000, just to give you if there's maybe an error in the spreadsheet somewhere, would give a little bit of a buffer. It's not a lot of money in the scheme of things. So that's what I would ask the council to consider an order for 15,000 next week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Mayor and council?
Mayor and council, 15,000. Got it.
And that should appear next week.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it. Thank you for letting
Julia,
us
there's,
come.
there's no crying at the
I told
podium.
him not to cry. I'm like, if you cry, I'm going to cry. So don't cry. You were sighing. I'm like, don't. He also drenched me with water on the way in, which you got to witness.
Witnessed.
Yeah. So I like to think that he puts up with me, but I think in some moments I put up with him. But it works. So.
You laughed, she laughed.
She did laugh. She saw it. Thank you very much.
All right.
Any more questions or?
Just thank you.
Just keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, next on our agenda is item C3, rezoning recommendation from the planning board. Mr. Nazar.
Good evening, council. Matt Nazar, I'm Director of Development Services. I'm here to talk about rezoning recommendation from the planning board. First, I want to say that I was dragged back to my undergraduate degree there at the beginning with the limnology discussion, and a professor from UMF who was not teaching that at the time, but wow, 40 years just dragged me right back. So on the rezoning, on a completely different topic, on the rezoning recommendation from the planning board, this is an item that the planning board, you have an applicant here who will be happy to talk to you about what their proposal is, but you received a large packet from the planning board that included their recommendation, which was a unanimous recommendation. This is a general rezoning that they're recommending as opposed to a contract rezoning. With a general rezoning, what you're effectively would be doing as a city council would be rezoning an entire parcel, or actually in this case, several parcels on the in the triangular area that is between Civic Center Drive, Old Belgrade Road, and Bog Road. That triangular area that is currently split between planned development and rural village, RV, and it's the RV zoning district, which is on the north side, so it's bordered up near the traffic signal on Old Belgrade and Civic Center Drive, would be rezoned to PD, or planned development. So any of the uses that would be allowed in planned development would be then become allowed in this area. The applicant who requested this rezoning, you could see in the documentation that he's put forward that what he's looking at doing is a medical office or medical clinics, and that would be a conditional use in that planned development zoning district. So that would be where that would go if the council were so inclined to make the rezoning change. The planning board recommendation was they stepped through the 5 criteria for rezoning in their land use ordinance, and the findings on those were all positive. And like I say, they made a unanimous recommendation regarding this change. So I will leave it at that unless the council has questions of me. And I would recommend that if the council has questions in particular about this rezoning, as I said, we have the applicant here too.
So PD is already the abutting use to these.
Correct.
To this zone of the parcel, so we'd just be advancing the zone forward, northward to the
Correct.
intersection.
This would be dragging that PD zoning district to the entire area of land that is surrounded by those streets.
Yeah. Did I see your hand, Councilor Michoud?
I'm sorry I failed to go to that planning board meeting. I see plans here for medical use?
A medical clinic, yes, yeah, medical buildings that would be proposed, yes.
Because there's one, I think there's, in that triangle, there's 2 or 3 homes. They would not be affected by this?
There is one, and I certainly would rely on the applicant to provide a little bit more information, but I believe one of them is part of this. Is that correct? One of them is part of this purchase, and I'm not sure about the others that are.
Bottom of the triangle?
Chris, why don't you come up, please?
Yeah, we'll have Chris come up, and he can better explain what the direction is there than I can on his project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. My name's Chris Pazik. I'm the owner of the properties that we're talking about. There's 3 parcels, and actually there's a parcel that I have that I just closed on last week with Department of Transportation. So there used to be a house up on that corner. When they redid the intersection back in I think it was like 2015, they took a house and they tore it down, and there was some land left over that anyway, long story short, I acquired that from DOT last week. So that's no longer under a purchase and sale agreement. I actually own that now. Anyway, I've actually owned these parcel or owned the Doc Hollandaise restaurant and since 2012, and then I acquired Jackie Gates' house, and there used to be a trail, like a mobile home behind there. Acquired that back in like 2015, 2016, and it was always under the auspices that this was zoned commercially. And the idea was that it was probably going to end up being a gas station or car wash or some sort of commercial use that is zoned, that is allowed under the RV zoning district currently. And I've had it under contract a couple times now with primarily gas station users, and for whatever reason, they have not advanced their plans, and it just hasn't happened. Taking a step back, I'm also a commercial real estate broker and do a lot of work in the Augusta area. I actually lived in this area for a better part of 2 decades, and still practice up here. So I still do a lot of work here in Augusta. And what I've been finding is that there's actually quite a bit of demand for medical office space, and getting specific things like imaging centers, specialty practice offices, Medi-Spa type operators. There's a lot of talk about Medi-Retail or Medi-Retail. I can't remember what the term is, but there's been a lot of demand for that sort of use. And you see it sort of, if you go down to like South Portland, around the mall area, on Western Avenue, you see a lot of medical clinics, things like dentists, specialty practice, and imaging centers all clustered in and around that area. You also see it around the Auburn Mall area. We don't necessarily really have that here in Augusta, although you do have like a dialysis center there on Civic Center Drive. And then as you come out Civic Center Drive, you see like Main General has a couple different office buildings along Civic Center Drive. So, and what I've been seeing is that there's actually quite a bit of demand for medical office space. Medical practitioners who want a smaller building. They don't want to be part of a large multi-tenanted medical office building. They want their own standalone building that's easy for people to find. And a good example actually is Caldwell Street, just behind the old hospital. If you go down that street, there's 6 or 7 standalone medical office buildings there. And we've always seen very good demand for those buildings. They've always been full. And when I was thinking about what's the highest and best use for the site there up in North Augusta, opposed from being a gas station or some sort of a Family Dollar or something that nature, right? Kind of the light bulb went off. It's like, oh, we have demand for smaller medical office buildings, and it's a 2-acre site, so you can actually fit quite a bit on it. And so working with Steve Roberge with SJR Engineering, he's been come in front of the planning board. He's permitted a lot of projects here in Augusta. Him and I work together, and we've laid it out. There's 5 small medical office buildings ranging from about 2,400 to the largest building being 5,900 square feet on what we're calling the health and wellness campus. The idea is that there will be uniform signage. a single entrance going in and out of the site, or a single main entrance, there would be sort of a escape valve off of Bog Road in order to be able to enter and exit the site, but that wouldn't be the main entrance. Main entrance would be on Old Belgrade Road. And uniform signage, it is the gateway to the city of Augusta, and frankly, right now it's a vacant restaurant and a former mobile home site and a single-family ranch. That's on the site right now. And, my plan is to develop it as this health and wellness campus. And I think there's good demand for it, but frankly, I'm not going to go through the time and energy and expense of designing and permitting something beyond what I've done until I know that I can do it. And the current zoning does not allow medical uses on the site. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Councilor Judkins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Surprised that, is your view to build these buildings and lease them to tenants?
So the idea is that the site will be it's a 2-acre site, of which the 5 individual sites that, as it's laid out right now, will be condoed land, I guess is probably the best way.
So you'd sell them off?
Not necessarily. So but what I'm seeing is that the end users like to own their own property. Especially in these specialty practice groups, the doctors groups, they like to own and control their own piece of property.
So to take this directly to my point, would these be owned and operated by nonprofits, or will these properties stay on our tax roll?
My intention is they would stay on the tax roll. Could it happen that one or more be sold to a nonprofit? Potentially. I can't say one way or another. But the idea is that the condo association will maintain ownership of the property. So to that end, I would assume that it will stay on the tax rolls.
Thank you.
Councilor Mishu?
He kind of covered what I was eking at, because I want to make sure, it's a taxable property right now, and certainly if it comes to attrition, this would be a more extensible taxable property, but, there's always that chance. So I'm getting from him that you're going to develop it and sell it.
Correct, yeah. So the idea is that it's not going to happen unless a developer like me comes in and permits the entire site, gets the permits and approvals, and then puts in the infrastructure, because the part of the appeal to a development like this is that it's easy for these medical groups to come in, and they've already got sort of a shovel-ready site. So paving's done, permits and approvals for the entry is done, the landscaping's done, and there's a lot more demand for that than somebody who doesn't do this every day coming in and trying to start from scratch.
So hypothetically, if it is rezoned, do you have a target date this year, next year, the year after?
So it is going to have to go through both city permitting, and because it's going to be more than I can't remember the exact number, but it's going to trip a DEP permit. So it's going to have to it's because it's a DEP stormwater permit. So we'll go through a local permitting process and the DEP permitting process, and I'm being told that it's going to take at least 6 months with DEP, so we're probably not looking at anything before a 2027 construction season.
Thank you.
Councilor Sinkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Chris. Thank you for bringing this project forward, both at Planning Board and here. I very strongly echo what you're saying about the need for more medical services in our area and the demand there, that these types of specialty services in particular, we don't have enough here. I really appreciated the thoroughness of the packet that was brought forward and the detail that was put in here. For a brief stint, I lived in Massachusetts as an adult, and this is what I thought of as medical practices because that is kind of the norm in the areas that I lived. There were many of these. They were easy to get around. They were easily recognizable as medical offices. Like there was kind of like a blueprint. So I can imagine what you're saying there being a great addition to this part of Augusta that already has somewhat of a medical feel up there. My main questions may be more for Matt. I read this packet, was very amenable to it. My question was, are there any cons to this proposal, but then also to the general rezone versus a contract zone?
There is a bit of a difference, as you note, between a general rezoning and a contract rezoning. With a general rezoning, obviously the developer has the opportunity to do whatever is allowed in that zoning district, potentially. So if it is rezoned and this project doesn't work out and doesn't move forward, then whatever is allowed in the PD zoning district could be something that could be pursued by the property owner as well. I would actually, in this particular part of the city, with the utilities it has adjacent to it, with the major roads and the traffic signal it has directly adjacent to it, I would suggest this is probably actually an advantage to getting something onto this site that has a what is expected to be a more commercial flavor. It's what the site has been used for primarily with Doc Hollandaise before, and yes, there have been a couple of residential uses as well, but the pulling together of these properties along what is a busy area now, a commercial use is what's most likely. So this would provide the developer with more options if for some reason this particular project doesn't move forward.
Okay, that makes sense to me. It is kind of strange to have this island kind of bisected in zoning. And so either way, if we were asked to move the more rural over or the PD up, I think it makes sense to me to have this line bump out. And so it sounds like I hear my fellow counselors' concerns about the taxable base in the city of Augusta. What I'm hearing is that that is not the the next step, but that once the condo association owns it, that Chris cannot make us promises. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I need to, I can't answer your, I don't know. I need to think about that. My initial inclination is because the condo association is going to own it, that the entire, that there's going to be taxes that are going to have to, that the condo association is going to have to pay. But I can't 100% guarantee that right now, and I don't want to misspeak.
Sure.
So I think that it can be arranged. I mean, the intention here is not to avoid taxes, so.
Yes. That is all the questions I had. I am in favor of moving this forward. Thank you.
So if you had wanted to go forward with your gas station plan or whatever, would you have needed a zoning change for that as well?
Oh, that's permitted in the RV zone.
Yeah, okay. Counselor Lynn.
Thank you. Matt, if you don't mind, I just had a couple questions. You know, I'm not a fan of contract zones over the years. I think they're too limiting and often get too political. So, but I'm encouraged with this. Just correct me if I'm wrong. With this change, that really opens up more options for businesses, do you feel?
Yes, the
bigger
PD
menu.
zoning district has more commercial uses available in
Right.
it than the current RV zoning district.
Yep. With all respect to the developer, we never know what may happen with this developer or with funding. And this, to me, this is so appropriate. I just want to thank the planning office and your office for the work. This is well done. And Chris, it shouldn't escape me that you're from Scarborough. I mean, Scarborough has got what you described. That's Scarborough. A lot of it is medical buildings like this all through Scarborough. I mean, as a baby boomer aging, I end up driving down to Scarborough for imaging and for ortho, and so I can see it happening, and it's a great location, so I wish you the best of luck. It would be great if you could keep the property on the tax rolls, that would be awesome, so, but I want to thank the planners and the planning board. Again, contract zones should be very, very rare. This type of zoning is what we need to start to do. Thank you.
Councilor Jenkins.
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. Chris, first, I want to say, I like the project. Smart. I think it's a good spot for it. So in no way is that my comments or anything against doing that project. I will tell you that as an Augusta City Councilor and knowing what we're kind of have been up against here with the number of nonprofits we have and the tax difficulty that has presented to us, especially with the state of Maine owning so much property in the city and not paying, we've got to focus on growing our tax base. And that's going to be my swan song from now till I'm done doing this, is to see the opportunities. And unfortunately, if they're not going to exist, then I'm not looking to do extra favors for folks if they're going to just come in here and not support the community. And I know that's not your intention on this. Taxes, you're right, from a condo situation, they can tax the land, they can tax some of the infrastructure and, the driveways, what have you, but if individual units get sold off as condos, then that particular unit itself may then avoid taxes of some nature. And I know you don't have like a magic 8-ball. Maybe you do, I don't know, but I don't think you do. And so you can't really tell where that's going to go. And I don't think that should stifle us moving forward on something like this. But I would like to get a legal opinion if we can, when we're doing a new development, new build stuff, if we can impose that if it is going to go to a nonprofit, that a pilot fee to the city would be required to be paid as part of like a covenant or some such codicil to be included in that. Cam would be the one that could say if we can or we can't. I'm afraid I probably know the answer, but I'm just grasping at a straw here. So if we could find that out, sure, before we do this, that would be good. Again, it's not singling out this at all because I'm supportive of this. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm hesitating in saying, because like the medical office buildings that are at the entrance to Commerce Center, so there's two of them, right? And those are both owned by private entities, and I believe they both pay taxes.
That'd be
Both
good.
those. So it's just, and I may end up building
Maine
one
General
or more of the buildings.
Yeah, Maine General is one of our big problems. I mean, look at what the value of that building is, and there's not a cent paid back in taxes. So,
Correct.
yeah.
I can't sit here and guarantee you that
I know,
it would.
and I'm not
it's
asking you
gonna
to.
happen,
I
but-
fully understand that, and I don't think that should be like weighted against this happening. But I'm just saying, how is the way we can look at all of these types of things coming before us going forward to be prepared to work within those veins. I mean, same questions I'm going to start to ask when people come looking for TIFs, Are you going to pay taxes or not? And that'll be a big part of my decision process going forward, just putting the world out there on notice, that's all. So thank you.
Other questions, councilors? All right. Thanks for coming forward and answering a lot of the questions. Matt, is there anything you need to add by way of a summation?
No, unless there are any other questions, I don't have anything to add. It's just up to the council as to whether you want to put it on an agenda or not.
I guess since council wants to move forward with it?
I'm sure we can get some kind of a ruling or an opinion from Cam before we come to.
Yeah, I can send something out. He and I have already engaged in this conversation, so I can, I don't have the full details, but I'll surmise, rapid summary and send it out to you.
I don't want to guess, I don't want to speculate, but I will. I mean, I guess we would have a better ability to do that if we were selling the property than imposing it on a third-party transaction, but we'll see what he comes up with. Yeah. All right, thank you. I think we're all set in moving this forward on a business agenda. All right. Mayor and council?
Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you. Finally, tonight, C4, Memorandum of Understanding with the Augusta Downtown Alliance. Mr. Keith Luke to speak to that.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I'm Keith Luke. I'm the city's Economic Development Director. Tonight, we're bringing forward a proposed memorandum of understanding between the City of Augusta and the Augusta Downtown Alliance. The city's had a strong working relationship with the ADA since the organization was founded in 2014, and before that, during its organizing phase. Over more than a decade, the ADA has been a productive partner in downtown revitalization, supporting events, promoting Augusta, helping small businesses, engaging the community, and keeping our downtown the focus of civic investment and energy. There has been concern about staff turnover at the ADA in recent years, and I want to speak to that directly. The concern is understandable, but this kind of turnover has not been unique to the ADA. We've seen similar challenges across municipal and nonprofit organizations throughout the region. Throughout those transitions at the ADA, their board of directors has remained strong, engaged, and kept the organization functioning. The intent of this MOU is to strengthen the framework for cooperation, communication, accountability, and continuity going forward. It's also worth noting that the absence of an MOU until now was not an oversight. Most organizations operating under the National Main Street program work without formal agreements with their host communities. At the same time, these agreements are becoming more common as communities look to clarify roles, expectations, and how public investment connects to these shared goals. The proposed MOU is fairly straightforward. It recognizes the ADA as an independent nonprofit and accredited Main Street organization. It confirms the city's role as a municipal partner, and it establishes clear expectations on both sides. On the city side, we commit to considering annual financial support through the budget process and appointing a city liaison to the ADA board, coordinating on downtown initiatives, and providing municipal support for ADA events. On the ADA's side, the agreement asks for an annual work plan and presentation to the City Council ahead of each budget cycle, quarterly progress reports covering activities, business outreach, use of city funds, and emerging downtown issues, and timely notification to the city of any significant organizational or financial changes. This, in basically the same way every city department provides quarterly reports to the city manager and then in turn to the council. This MOU does not obligate the City Council to future funding. That remains subject to annual appropriations as always. And it does not direct or limit ADA operations. The city role remains one of communication and cooperation, not supervision. ADA has reviewed this draft, had an opportunity to provide input, and has been part of this process. Laura Briggs, the chair of the ADA Board of Directors, is here this evening, and I know she's happy to answer your questions. I'm also happy to answer your questions.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes,
City
Manager. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just to add to that, if you recall, this came up during the budget process, because, and I don't want that to go unnoticed. That was brought up by council. So that's what kind of spurred that, is looking in and seeing that we never had an MOU, and there weren't many of those out there to model. So the other portion of that is Cam has looked at this as well. And basically, we took a model from another community, and he's kind of gone through this with a fine tooth comb as well. So this is his final product as well. So it's true. Yeah.
Very good. Councilors? Councilor Michoud?
You mentioned the ADA coming potentially to the council, maybe even prior to a budget season, with an outline of goals and things. Something along those lines.
I think that's one of the expectations set forth in the memorandum of understanding.
Okay, and this is brand new?
Brand new.
Okay, so, because I don't recollect the Downtown Alliance coming in front of the city council unless they were asked, or whatever for any, maybe how's things going, what's your thoughts on things, and what are we doing downtown to make it better?
I think they've been in and reported in the past, but not on a regimented basis, and this would clarify that expectation. And I think they're fine with it.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Sinkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Keith. First, quick question. These were at our seats. Is there any difference?
There's no
Okay.
difference.
I was trying to scan and couldn't find any, so I wanted to make sure before I started talking about it. I am a big fan of clarity in expectations, and I think this MOU helps with that. I think the ADA and the city have had, from my experience, a fairly good working relationship so far, and that this is not necessarily a response to anything going wrong, but a proactive step of let's all make sure we're on the same page. I thought that this was balanced and outlined what has been happening and then also what could change going forward. The times that the ADA has come, I've really appreciated hearing about it and knowing what's going on, having that more finger on the pulse type moment. And I would like to encourage that more. I know that's difficult when there has been staff turnover to get that person to come if the position's not filled. I would love to hear from Laura Briggs if there is good news on that front.
Hello. Thank you, Ms. Mayor and the City Council, for asking me to speak tonight. Yes, we do have, sorry, I'm Laura Briggs. I'm the board president for the Augusta Downtown Alliance. Yes, we do have some great news. On Monday, we actually have our executive director starting. Her name is Danielle Lane. She comes to us from the First Amendment Museum, and some of you may be familiar with her, but we're very excited to have her on board.
Thank you. I crossed paths with Miss Lane earlier today, and she let the cat out of the bag, and I was so delighted to know this was also on the agenda tonight because I think she is going to be a huge asset for that organization with her knowledge of Augusta and the way that she's been working in Augusta for a long time. I think that is really a good person for that role. So thank you for getting your board, getting this person here, and I'm excited for what's going to come after this. Thank you.
Thank you. We're also very excited.
Councilor Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Laura, thank you for the work. That's a perfect example of, one reason I wanted this in place. It was, I'm going to be pretty blunt. It was a little concerning that we are a pretty big provider, and yet we were hearing turnover on social media or rumors, and I think a little more communication was going to be great. So I asked, is there a memo of understanding, something in writing? So at least now we have a standard to go by, or, a little bit of a plan we each expect of one another. So I think, and it's been inconsistent. Keith, correct me if I'm wrong. There's been sometimes ADA came and sometimes they didn't. And I know for my first few years of council, they came and then they didn't. I thought, why aren't they here? And come to find out there was going to be an invite and there wasn't an invite. So I think the consistency is going to be great. I think it's going to help both parties just communicate a little more. So that's great that you got somebody coming. That's going to make your life a lot easier. Yeah. So, and the bump outs look great downtown. So that's another good thing that's going on. I walked down there this morning. It was a little early, about 7:30. And so, the sidewalks are getting fixed and things look good. I really do. So thank you.
Councilor Morris-Polly?
Yes, hi, Laura. Question, I'm just wondering, I know you're the board president. Who is on the board of the ADA?
I'd have to recite all the names off the top of my head, but we have Tricia Zickas as our treasurer. She works for Whitfleet Downtown. We also have Erin Moseson, who's a downtown resident. We have Tracy Taylor, who is our board secretary, and she works she owns Best Life Nutrition. They're going to be very upset with me that I can't name all their names right off the top of my head, but we had about 14 board members total.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
All right. And how does one become a member of the board?
So you would attend 6 committee meetings. You would join a committee, attend 6 committee meetings throughout the year. And then once you've attended 6, then you can get voted in at our annual meeting in January.
Okay, interesting. All right. Thank you.
Our meetings are public. They're the fourth Monday of every month at the Teen Center at 5 o'clock, if anybody would like to come.
Perfect. All right. And then in this agreement, which by the way, I think it's great to have this MOU. I function a lot on MOUs. They're very easy to follow. You know what you're supposed to do. We know what we're supposed to do. So I like this. But one of the things in here was consider annual financial support. Don't we usually, did we build in the budget annual financial support for the ADA? I know in the past, I think we've had a certain budget line for it. Did we build that into this current budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in the development services budget and it's TIF funding.
Okay, all right, so we've,
Yeah.
okay.
And that language is specific to be ambiguous, to not guarantee a certain amount. So it, or guarantee it annually, so it's not something.
Give us the ability to flex it as we need to or as we can. Okay, all right, that was it. Thank you very much.
Councillor Lilly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Laura, for coming down today, going over this. I just want to thank City Manager and Keith for putting this together. This is fantastic. I think it's something that surprised we necessarily didn't have, but it sounds like maybe other cities don't have this, but maybe we can be a forefront on that for other communities going forward. This might be probably a question for you, City Manager. What is the dollar amount that we support the ADA with at the moment?
40,000 a year.
40,000,
Annually.
that's through TIF funding?
Yes.
Okay. Laura, on from the ADA side, looking at the MOU, was there anything that didn't make sense, or were there things that you wanted to see changed, or are you happy with this?
No, I think it looks great.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to hear that you have a new director coming on. Hopefully we get a chance to meet them and hear what you guys have planned coming up for the year. But definitely exciting that we have this for us now, and hopefully, we can, I think, been working together since 2014, but just a little bit more clear on what's expected from both of us. So, thank you.
Absolutely. And you will get to meet her as soon as she comes on board.
Fantastic.
The next meeting.
Councillor Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Laura, for coming out. Good to see you. Thanks, Keith. Yeah, I agree. This is great a great document to formalize the agreement as the relationship's matured over time. It makes perfect sense. And congratulations on finding your executive director. I really look forward to meeting her and look forward to continuing to build this partnership that I think we have with the ADA, and I think that benefits everybody. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Jenkins.
Laura, thanks for coming by and talking with us. I know, when Mike Hall was there, he did a lot. We had a lot of accomplishment, and he left some really big shoes to fill. And I'm not so sure since Mike has left that we've been totally able to fill those shoes. We've had some different approaches and stuff, but it does seem like over the last couple of years that this partnership, or I should say, there's still been activity, but the accomplishment doesn't seem to be as strong as it was. And so I had some concerns, as you know, and you were so kind to meet with me here several months back to ask, I kind of say, okay, what's really kind of going on? Because we hadn't heard a lot. And we used to have periodic, meetings or updates and such, and with new ideas. So I was a little bit taken back when at that meeting you'd said, geez, yeah, another person had left, that you were going to now fill it with a part-time position. You were going to hire a marketing firm to do half of that work. So you're going to utilize some of the money. So my question is, I'm wondering, how has that worked out?
It's actually worked out fairly well for us. So we are working with Edison Public Relations, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with Edison, but it's Amy Marston, who was previously on the Augusta Downtown Alliance Board a while back, and she's been doing a lot of our social media, and she's been promoting a lot of the downtown businesses. If you watch the Facebook, you'll see all the businesses have videos that talk about what they do, and it's really brought a lot of foot traffic down to Augusta and people into those businesses.
Is this something that like Mike Hall would do before, or the directors would do before? And so she's kind of filled that gap that got created. Is that kind of how it's been working, or?
Yes, he did some work, but she has gone above and beyond, and she's done an outstanding job with that. So our intent is to keep her on board at least as long as we can, so that we can continue that momentum.
I kind of felt that was a pretty major change, and we are in a partnership here. And I don't think that's the kind of change that should happen, like in a void. I think it would be good to keep your partner apprised on something that significant of how the format was going to go. I'm pleased about this MOU. I think it's a big step to maybe clarifying roles and setting expectations. And I think maybe it will help get that communication back on track, because this is a partnership that over my time being here, I've seen what it can do for the downtown. We all know we've got more work to do. And I was kind of feeling the loss of it. And I think this would be a big step to hopefully getting us back on the right track. So I look forward to it and appreciate you coming up.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Manager, are you going to need an order on a business agenda to authorize you to execute it, or do you
I
need
don't, I don't believe so. This is just an MOU, and I think looking at it, if you're all set, if it was a policy, we would do an order, but we have MOUs throughout, and next time I'm asked by a council member if we have an MOU, a new one, I can say, yes, we do. Here it is, because you're right, I agree. I was very surprised that we didn't have one. So if you're all set with it, and we'll follow this specifically with regular updates and things like that, it now exists, and we'll both sign and follow it.
All right. Everybody happy with the content? All right. Make it so. All right, that exhausts our list of items for discussion tonight, but before we close, let me ask if there are any questions, announcements. Councilor Lynn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Tuesday, I received an email, I don't know if anyone else did, Courtney Yeager, who is the CEO of the United Way, Kennebec Valley United Way, will be stepping down. She's moving back to her home state of Ohio, and I'm not sure what we're planning, but I'd like to at least ask the mayor and the city manager to consider some type of recognition. Courtney, I think, has been there for 10 years in that role. I think she's been with the United Way here for about 13. I think the youngest CEO of the United Way of Kennebec Valley, first female, extremely smart. She's pushed that organization. That's the first time they reached $2 million. She took that organization that was really Augusta-based and absorbed the United Way that was Waterville-based and combined that. And I just think she's done a tremendous amount of work for this community, and I'm really proud to call her my friend. I had a long discussion with her the other day. It's going to be a loss for us, better for her, but a real loss for this community. And then all the talk of lakes, Togus Pond and now Three Corner Pond. And I'm not going on behalf of the city, but I will keep these ponds in mind. I'm attending the 2026 Lake Conference tomorrow in Orono, and my role is China Lake, but I'm also going to be keeping in mind. And I want to say that was alarming, the 30 parts per billion. That was extremely high. And, Jared is on a lake, and that's double what Cobussy has. That's,
Yes.
that shook me a little bit. So I think we need to really double down on our efforts to help Three Corner Pond, considering we're property owners there. We don't want to have to close the park because they can't swim in the lake.
13 miles long.
Anyone else? Councilor Sinkowitz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick update, opioid settlement funds task force met last night, and we will meet weekly throughout June to get through these grant applications. We're discussing our scoring and what recommendations we'll be bringing to council. We will meet again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. And also wanted to highlight that tomorrow is the last day of school for the city of Augusta. Kids get out at 10:30 in the morning and then are out for the rest of the summer. So thank you to all of our school staff and everyone involved for a successful school year. And then also looking forward to the summer leads me to summer reading program at Lithgow Library. Starts on Monday. They have a theme this year, Plant a Seed, Read. And they have summer reading programs for everyone, all ages. They say 1 month to 1 century old. So they've got different bingo sheets, I think, again this year for different age groups. There's a kickoff event Monday at the 15th at the library. I think it might be particularly geared for children, but they probably won't turn you away, whatever your age is, with some treats and festivities. And one of the things they're doing this summer that's different is an art contest. So you can drop by and pick up some supplies to create an art project that you can then submit to the contest. And the winners will be on display in August in the library. So lots of fun going on this summer. They've got the entire list of events at the library throughout the summer for summer reading. And you can pick that up or you can look it up on their website. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Morse-Polly?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We had a rebrand committee meeting on Wednesday where we discussed 4 different options for color palettes quite extensively. And I think that we picked the best one that we could, that was there. So we're excited about that. We also looked at mood boards, letter-based brands, place-based brands, or heritage brands, and we chose kind of a combination and gave them a task to see if they can combine both the letter-based and the place-based brand. We don't have another meeting scheduled yet. We are going to let the brand company kind of do some of their work and then come back to us with some of their preliminaries, and I'll keep you updated. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Manager, anything before I pound the gavel?
Really quick, Your Honor, tomorrow, Saturday, the bump out project and traffic calming project downtown is beginning with some work, with some culvert work, things like that. Most of the day tomorrow, and if it extends, will be into Sunday. Traffic will be down to 1 lane on Water Street. We've notified the businesses and had that discussion. Hopefully that project, and that's prep work that they're doing. But the more exciting part to that is that exciting project was bid out and the work is starting. So there'll be some changes downtown between Winthrop and Bridge Street. So you look like you have a question.
Talking about Friday or Saturday?
I'm sorry, I thought today was Friday. Thank you. Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, not Friday. Saturday and Sunday. Well, yeah, I guess I've started Friday already. So, that's that project. Just to remind everybody, and I appreciate you allowing me to come a little later. I was listening to the meeting, and you had announced we played Herman, the number 1 seed, and we were the number 9 seed. We did lose, but my daughter went 4 for 4 senior year, so I was happy. So, thank you for allowing me to come a little later.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Thank you all for staying with us. Thank you, staff members, for being with us tonight. Thank you, counselors. We're adjourned.